A transmission is underway. It is not a signal that travels through the airwaves, nor one that lights up your screen. It is a silent, resonant broadcast streaming directly into the core of your being, originating from the very fabric of reality, the quantum field itself. You have been receiving this frequency for weeks, months, perhaps your entire life, mistaking it for your own fleeting thoughts or anxieties. It arrives not as a sound, but as an instant knowing, a sudden, complete, and total understanding that lands in your awareness without any logical path, without any explanation. It is the sudden impulse to take a specific, unusual action that makes no rational sense whatsoever. It is that deep, unshakable, profound feeling about a person or a complex situation that completely contradicts all the surface evidence, all the facts that your logical mind is meticulously trying to process. It is that strange, magnetic urge to go to a specific place you've never been, to make a specific choice that defies all practical justification, to speak a truth that seems to come from nowhere. And what has been your response to this divine guidance system? You've been ignoring it. You've been dismissing the most advanced, sophisticated, and personal guidance system in the known universe. Why? Because it doesn't fit into the neat, tidy, rigid boxes of your logical framework. Because it doesn't align with your practical, step-by-step, 5-year plans. Because the rational mind, the part of you that has been conditioned, trained, and rewarded by society to value only what it can see, prove, and measure, has been taught to label this profound intuition as unreliable. It dismisses it as mere wishful thinking, as dangerous, random impulse, or as the leftover static of a dream. But this is the great secret, the one that unlocks the next dimension of your existence. Quantum intuition is not a random hunch. It is not a fleeting emotional reaction based on past trauma. It is direct, unfiltered, high-frequency information arriving from the quantum field. It is data from your higher dimensional self, the vast, timeless part of you that can perceive the infinite probability waves of reality before they collapse into a single physical event. This guidance doesn't operate on the slow, linear time of your watch. It is navigation data from a consciousness operating at a frequency so high, so fast, that it can detect the most optimal, harmonious, and expansive pathways through the matrix of reality. Pathways that your linear, logical mind, with its limited processing power, simply cannot calculate or even comprehend. When you dismiss this signal, you are consciously choosing to dismiss the very system designed to guide you toward your highest timeline, your greatest evolution. You are unplugging yourself from the only source of information that can show you the hidden routes, the shortcuts, the connections that your logic will never, ever discover. You know the difference, don't you? Deep down, in the silent places of your being, you can feel the distinction between this true, clear quantum signal and the chaotic, frantic static of your own mental noise. That quantum knowing arrives, complete. It is instantaneous, certain, and imbued with a profound sense of peace. Even if the action it suggests seems radical, you just know without knowing how you know. But mental noise is the exact opposite. Mental noise argues. It doubts, it analyzes and reanalyzes. It presents endless, conflicting options, creating paralysis. It is loud, anxious, contracted, and chaotic. True intuition has the unmistakable quality of recognition, not reasoning. It feels like you are remembering something you already knew, a deep ancestral truth, rather than trying to figure something new out. It doesn't need to convince you with logic. It doesn't present a PowerPoint of its findings. It simply shows you through a direct, full-body knowing that bypasses the entire rational process. Right now, in this exact moment, as you absorb these words, you have quantum signals stacking up, waiting to be acknowledged, knowings you've dismissed as fantasy, impulses you've suppressed as impractical, feelings about your life, your job, your relationships that you've ignored as irrational. These are not random mental artifacts. They are not glitches in your programming. They are precise, encrypted, time-sensitive data packets from quantum consciousness guiding you toward the choices, the connections, and the timelines that align with your highest and most expansive trajectory. The broadcast is live. The only question is, are you finally ready to tune in? The quantum field, the infinite ocean of potential that constitutes all of reality, is broadcasting this guidance constantly, 24/7, to every single consciousness on the planet. It is an ever-present signal, but the vast majority of people cannot receive it. Their frequency is tuned to the wrong station. They are locked into the low bandwidth channel of the rational mind, the consensus reality, the matrix of limitation. Their internal environment is so filled with the deafening noise of societal conditioning, fear-based media, and their own analytical doubt that these subtle, powerful, high-frequency signals are completely drowned out. They are living in a hurricane of static, unable to hear the clear whisper of truth. But you are different. You have been, consciously or unconsciously, developing the capacity to receive this. Every challenge that broke your heart, every crisis that forced you to your knees, every moment of profound silence or joy, every single experience that quieted your mind and expanded your awareness. It was all, in essence, intuition training. You were not being punished. You were being attuned. Your antenna was being calibrated. Your reception is becoming clearer. The signal is no longer a faint whisper you can easily dismiss. It is arriving more frequently, more obviously, more undeniably. And yet, what are you still doing? You are still filtering this divine guidance through the clumsy, limited mechanism of the rational mind. You are still waiting for your logic to approve the guidance before you follow it. You are asking your most limited, outdated tool to validate your most advanced, futuristic one. This is like asking a horse and buggy to verify the calculations of a quantum computer. It is this exact hesitation that is costing you everything. Here is what makes this moment in your evolution so critical, so urgent. Your quantum intuition shows you optimal paths, shortcuts, and openings that exist only for limited windows of time. This is not a casual suggestion. This guidance is not pointing you towards something that will be available indefinitely, something you can get to later. It is showing you precise, collapsing windows of opportunity. It is showing you the exact moment when a specific, often illogical action will create the maximum benefit. The exact, fleeting moment when a certain destined connection becomes possible. The exact, critical moment when a particular opportunity aligns in the quantum field. When you ignore this quantum guidance, when you hesitate, when you choose to rely on your logic to figure out the timing and the how, you miss the window. By the time your logical mind has gathered enough evidence, analyzed all the risks, consulted all the external experts, and finally determined that something is a good idea, the quantum opportunity, the perfect energetic convergence of events, has often passed. The door has closed. The quantum field is actively organizing reality right now, in this very second, to deliver your highest outcomes to you. It is conspiring in your favor, but it can only deliver these outcomes if you follow the intuitive guidance about when to act, whom to connect with, which choice to make, and where to direct your full, undivided attention. The field is constantly creating synchronicities. It orchestrates chance meetings. It opens doors that were locked. It aligns events in a way that logic would call a miracle. But if you are not following the intuitive signals telling you to show up at this random place, to contact this person right now, or to take this specific, strange action, you will miss the deliveries. You will be standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, wondering why your manifestations never arrive. This isn't about encouraging blind faith or reckless, impulsive behavior. This is about recognizing from a place of profound inner power that your quantum intuition is fundamentally more intelligent than your rational calculation. Why? Because it is accessing information from higher dimensions where outcomes are visible before they physically manifest. Logic is driving while looking only in the rearview mirror, analyzing what has already passed. Intuition is seeing the holographic map of the road ahead. You have been experiencing specific phenomena your entire life that prove you are receiving this quantum-level guidance. You've just been dismissing these exact experiences as coincidence or rationalizing them away after they prove to be spectacularly accurate. Your training is over. The time to trust is now. Let's make this crystal clear. The single most important skill in your spiritual and material evolution is the ability to distinguish the pure, high-frequency signal of quantum intuition from the loud, chaotic static of the rational mind, fear, and ego. How do you do it? How do you, in the heat of a decision, discern the voice of truth from the chorus of distortion? You must look for the energetic signature. You have felt this, but you have been trained systematically to distrust the feeling. Quantum intuition arrives with a specific, undeniable energetic signature. It is calm. Even if it's telling you to do something radical, like quit your job or move across the country, the signal itself is imbued with a profound, unshakable certainty. It is clear. It is precise. It doesn't waver. It feels like recognition. It doesn't feel like hope, and it doesn't feel like fear. It is a neutral, profound, anchored knowing. It lands in your system fully formed. There is no figuring it out. The answer is just there, complete. It often makes absolutely no logical sense, and yet it feels more real than anything your logical mind is screaming at you. It has a quality of spaciousness, of opening, of alignment. It feels like you are remembering a future you have already chosen, a path you already agreed to. It resonates in your heart and gut, a feeling of yes. Now contrast this with all your awareness to mental noise. Mental noise is always loud. It is frantic. It is anxious, contracted, and carries an urgency that feels like panic, not clarity. Fear is mental noise. It whispers of what if and but. Anxiety is mental noise. It loops endlessly, presenting worst-case scenarios. Wishful thinking, that desperate, needy, hoping for a specific outcome, is mental noise. It is contaminated by your attachments, and the rational mind, when it's trying to control a situation it cannot understand, is the loudest, most persistent noise of all. It analyzes endlessly. It creates pro and con lists that just lead to more confusion. It argues with itself, presenting multiple, conflicting options, creating a state of total paralysis. It doubts everything. It demands external evidence, guarantees, and proof before it will allow you to move. Mental noise always feels like figuring out. Quantum intuition always feels like remembering. Mental noise is sequential. It processes step by step, A to B to C. Quantum intuition is instantaneous. It arrives all at once, the complete picture. Mental noise requires justification. Quantum intuition is its own justification. You must learn to read the signals of your own body, your physical antenna in this dense reality. Your body is the receiver. It receives this quantum information through sensation long before your mind can process it, label it, and distort it with language. You've felt this thousands of times, a certain undeniable feeling in your gut, your solar plexus, or your heart that instantly signals, yes, this is it, or no, step away. It is not an emotion. It is an energetic knowing. It can feel like a sudden expansion in your chest, a warmth, an opening, a lightness when something is in alignment, or it can feel like a sudden contraction, a coldness, a closing, a tightness, a heavy knot in your stomach when something is a clear warning. Learning to read these somatic signals is not optional. It is crucial for following your intuition accurately. Stop trying to think your way to an answer. That is the old world paradigm. The new world paradigm is to feel your way to the knowing. Drop out of your head and into your body. Quiet the mind and ask, what does this feel like? Is it the calm, certain, expansive knowing of intuition? Or is it the anxious, loud, contracted static of fear and logic? The distinction is everything. Your life up to this point has been a masterclass designed to teach you this exact distinction. Every time you followed that frantic, logical noise and it led to problems, you were gathering evidence. Every time you ignored that quiet, calm knowing and regretted it, you were learning forcefully the high cost of of dismissing your own quantum guidance. You are not being asked to take a blind leap. You are being asked to look at the data. Your entire life is a trail of evidence, a breadcrumb trail of moments that prove your intuitive guidance system is real, active, and astonishingly accurate. You have just been misfiling these profound quantum events. You've been labeling them as coincidence, dumb luck, or a weird feeling. It is time to re-examine the data to see the pattern. Think right now of the countless instances where you had a strong, sudden, illogical feeling to contact someone, a friend you hadn't spoken to in years, a family member, an old colleague. The impulse made no sense. It came out of the blue, and when you finally, perhaps shyly, acted on it, what did they say? "I can't believe you called. I was just thinking about you," or "I was just about to call you," or they had the exact piece of information, the exact opportunity, or the exact emotional support you needed in that precise moment. That wasn't just good timing. That wasn't telepathy. That was your quantum intuition detecting the energetic entanglement between your consciousness and theirs. Your guidance system was showing you the optimal timing window for that connection, knowing long before your rational mind could, that reaching out right then and only then would create a meaningful, powerful, synchronistic exchange. What about the times you just knew something was about to happen seconds before it occurred? You knew the phone was about to ring right before it vibrated. You knew exactly who it was. You knew a specific person was about to arrive at your door just before the knock. You knew what news was about to be delivered, feeling the energetic shift before the words were spoken. This wasn't a vague, anxious premonition. It was a clear, certain, undeniable knowing. This is your quantum intuition operating in real time, perceiving the probability waves of the immediate future just moments before they collapse into our physical reality. Your consciousness was, in that moment, operating at a frequency so high that it could detect the quantum potentials before they became physical actualities. You were getting a preview, a direct download from the field, a glimpse of the code before it rendered on the screen. And perhaps most striking, most undeniable of all, are the times you followed a completely illogical impulse. You turned down a different street on your way home for no reason at all, only to avoid a massive accident that your logic couldn't have known about. You suddenly decided to go to a different coffee shop, acting on a whim, and ran into the one person who could solve the problem you'd been struggling with for months. You started a conversation with a total stranger in a checkout line, acting on a random friendly impulse, and that conversation led to a job offer, a new friendship, or a life-changing insight. You made an unexpected choice that your logical mind screamed was inefficient, wasteful, or weird. And what happened? That single, illogical action led you directly to what you needed: the solution, the information, the connection, the opportunity that seemed to fall from the sky. Your intuition knew something your conscious mind couldn't possibly know. It knew that specific action at that specific moment would create a convergence, a synchronicity that your logic could never have predicted. Why? Because your intuition can see the entire holographic map, reading multiple probability streams simultaneously, while your logic can only see the one linear paved road you are currently on. Your past is filled with these moments. They are not accidents. They are not anomalies. They are proof of your quantum nature. The evidence continues to build, and it is not always comfortable. Think about the other side of that coin. The times you ignored a strong, clear, intuitive warning. The times you felt the truth, but chose to listen to the logic. You felt a clear, powerful, visceral impulse to leave a place early, the party, the meeting, the event. But you stayed. You told yourself it wasn't practical. You didn't want to be rude. You hadn't put in enough time. And what happened? You got stuck in a massive traffic jam from an accident that happened just minutes after your impulse. You were caught in a delay, an argument, or a complication that you knew on a deep cellular level was coming. You felt a strong magnetic pull to attend a certain event, to go to a workshop, to accept an invitation. But your logical mind decided it was impractical. You were too tired. You didn't have the money. It didn't make sense for your career. And you later learned with a sinking feeling of regret that the perfect client, your future business partner, your future romantic partner, or a critical, life-changing connection was at that event. That opportunity was there, in that room, during that window, and you missed it. These confirmations, as painful as they are in hindsight, are not punishments. They are not the universe taunting you. They are your guidance system showing you unequivocally that the intuition was accurate. The signal was pure. You simply didn't trust it enough to follow it. You valued the opinion of your limited logic over the wisdom of your unlimited consciousness. And what about the most mysterious, most sacred channel of all, your dreams? You have received specific, powerful, undeniable guidance in your dream state. You've had dreams that warned you about a situation, a person, or a choice with such clarity that it shook you. You've had dreams that gave you a clear cinematic preview of an event, a conversation, or a place. And when you trusted that dream intuition, it proved to be startlingly, breathtakingly accurate. You dreamed about someone you hadn't seen in 15 years, and they appeared in your life physically just days later. You dreamed about a complex emotional situation unfolding in a very specific way, and then you watched it happen, detail for detail, word for word, in your waking life. You received a clear instruction in a dream, a solution to a complex problem, a line of code, a business idea, a sentence to say to someone. And when you gathered the courage to implement that instruction while awake, it worked perfectly. It unlocked the entire situation. Dreams are a primary channel for quantum intuition precisely because the conscious mind's filters are inactive. The logic, the doubt, the fear, the static, it's all powered down. During sleep, your consciousness is free to roam the quantum field, to access the Akashic records, to communicate with your higher self without the interference of the skeptical ego. You've also experienced this with people in an instant. You've met someone for the very first time, and you just knew something profound about them. You knew their character. You knew their true intention, regardless of the charming words they were speaking. You knew the truth of their situation, the pain they were hiding, or the inauthenticity of their persona, without any logical basis for that knowing. It wasn't a judgment. It wasn't an assumption based on their appearance or their background. It was a direct, instantaneous knowing, a data download that later proved to be 100% accurate once you learned more about them. This is your quantum intuition at work, accessing the information field where all data exists. It is downloading an energetic profile about that person that simple observation and logical deduction could never provide. Your entire life has been a series of these profound, undeniable demonstrations, all designed to prove one thing. You have access to a guidance system far beyond the capacity of your rational mind. The only question, the one that defines your future, has been, when will you finally believe it? When will you finally trust yourself? What if all the difficult periods in your life, all the confusion, the pain, the struggle, the mistakes, weren't failures at all? What if they were not evidence of your brokenness, but evidence of your training? What if your entire life, especially the hardest parts, has been an advanced, personalized curriculum designed by your higher consciousness? Curriculum with one single purpose: to teach you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that relying on logic alone is an insufficient, outdated, and painful navigation system. Think about it. Every time you followed a practical, logical, safe plan, and it led to frustration, to a dead-end job, to an unfulfilling relationship, to that feeling of being trapped, you were gathering crucial evidence. You were learning, through the friction of your own life, the severe and painful limitations of logic-only navigation. Every single time you ignored that quiet, calm, intuitive nudge, and later regretted it, you were learning, viscerally, the immense cost of dismissing your own quantum guidance. These weren't failures. They were experiences designed with precision to eventually convince you to trust your intuition over your logic when the two are in conflict. They were designed to break your addiction to the rational mind. Even your spiritual seeking, your pull towards meditation, mindfulness, energy work, or ancient wisdom. What do you think that was really about? It was about developing your reception capacity. Meditation wasn't just about calmness or reducing stress. It was, at a quantum level, about quieting the mental noise and the static of the ego so that the subtle, high-frequency signal of your intuition could finally be detected. Mindfulness wasn't just about being present. It was teaching you, moment by moment, to notice those subtle internal signals, those somatic feelings in your gut and heart, before your loud, analytical thoughts could drown them out and dismiss them. All of these practices were, at their core, refining your antenna, attuning your frequency, and calibrating your ability to receive and, most importantly, recognize your quantum guidance. You were not just seeking peace, you were seeking your own signal. Even your struggles, your financial confusion, your career complications, your relationship challenges, so much of that difficulty, that friction, came from one single root cause: a persistent, conditioned overriding of your intuition with practical, logical thinking. You chose the path that seemed safer. You chose the partner that made sense on paper. You stayed in the job that paid the bills. In doing so, you were ignoring the constant, gentle guidance of your soul, and you created more problems, more resistance, more pain. Your intuition was constantly trying to guide you toward paths, people, and places that were in true energetic alignment with your frequency. But your logic, trained by a world that doesn't understand frequency, kept redirecting you toward conventional, safe paths that were never optimal for the consciousness you are becoming. Even the times you felt crazy, the moments you had strong, vivid knowings about things you couldn't possibly explain, that wasn't delusion. That wasn't madness. That was you, accessing quantum information that the consensus reality, the matrix, doesn't even acknowledge exists. Your discomfort with the purely logical world, your lifelong feeling of being different or weird, was actually a protective mechanism. It was your soul's way of preserving your access to this guidance. If you had been fully socialized, fully programmed into the rational-only paradigm, your intuition would have been trained, shamed, and medicated out of you completely. Your resistance to the status quo, your inner weirdness, is the very thing that preserved your sacred connection to the quantum field. So how do you make this shift permanent? How do you move from being a person who occasionally receives intuition to a being who consistently and confidently follows it? The practice is revolutionary, not because it is complex, but because it is so simple, and it requires you to undo a lifetime of conditioning. The practice is this: you must stop trying to figure things out. You must release the addiction to knowing why. You must start noticing what you already know. Your intuition does not arrive through your thinking process. It is not the result of analysis. It is already present as a clear, calm, certain knowing underneath all the layers of thinking. The next time you are faced with a decision, whether it's as small as what should I eat or as large as should I take this job, your old habit is to immediately engage the analytical mind. You spin in your head, you weigh the options, you calculate the risks, you project all the possible outcomes, you ask for external opinions. This is the old paradigm. This is the path of resistance. Here is the new practice. This is the great reversal. Instead of analyzing, you must drop. You must drop out of your head and into your body. Drop into your heart space, into your solar plexus, into your gut. Quiet your mind for just a moment. Take one deep conscious breath and notice, what do you already know? Not what do you think is best. Not what seems logical or practical. Not what your mother or your boss would advise. What do you know directly, without reasoning? That first, quiet, calm, instantaneous signal, that is your quantum intuition. The most revolutionary recognition you can have is this: true quantum intuition is always accurate when it is actually intuition and not mental noise. The times you thought your intuition failed you, those were the times you followed fear disguised as intuition. You followed anxious, needy, wishful thinking disguised as knowing. You followed a loud, reactive, emotional impulse disguised as true guidance. This is why learning the distinction, which you learned in part 3, is so critical. Remember, intuition feels like remembering. Mental noise feels like figuring out. Intuition is instantaneous. Thought is sequential. Intuition is certain, even with no evidence. Logic requires evidence to even begin. Intuition feels spacious, peaceful, and open. Mental noise feels contracted, frantic, and anxious. Learning to recognize these distinct energetic signatures in your own body allows you to finally, and with great courage, trust your intuition over your logic. This requires a complete reversal of the internal hierarchy you've been taught to live by. Right now, you are receiving intuition, but you are only following it when your logic agrees. You are trusting your knowing intellectually, but you are not implementing it when it contradicts practical considerations or the opinions of others. This alignment must be reversed completely. Your intuition must become the primary navigation system. It must become the CEO of your life. Your logic must be demoted to manager. It becomes the secondary verification tool. Intuition decides the what, the where, and the who. Logic is then used only to implement the how. Logic becomes the faithful servant to intuition, not the skeptical, tyrannical judge of it. Your rational mind is an excellent manager. It's fantastic at implementation, at booking the ticket, at writing the email, at organizing the steps. But it is a terrible CEO. It is terrible at deciding the true direction. That, and only that, is what your quantum intuition is for. What happens when you truly make this shift? What does life look like when you actually start following your quantum intuition consistently as your primary default guidance system, rather than just occasionally when it's convenient or when your logic approves? Your entire reality reorganizes, and it does so at a speed that will astonish your rational mind. The outcomes that manifest are so superior, so harmonious, so aligned with your deepest self that you will wonder how you ever lived any other way. The friction of your old life dissolves. First, your decision-making process becomes effortless. The agonizing, the endless analyzing, the paralysis of trying to figure out the right path, it all just ends. The mental exhaustion, the burnout you feel from trying to think your way through every single choice simply dissolves. You no longer get lost in the weeds of what if. You just feel into the intuitive knowing. You sense which choice aligns with your highest trajectory. You commit to it, and then you use your logic only to implement that choice. You discover that the knowing in your heart is infinitely deeper and more accurate than the calculations in your head. Opportunities begin to appear with perfect, almost magical, synchronistic timing. Why? Because your intuition is guiding you step by step to be in the right place at the right time. It's that random nudge telling you to go to this coffee shop where you meet your new business partner. It's telling you to reach out to the right person at the optimal moment, just when they were thinking of you. It's pushing you to take the right action, to create that video, to write that book, to make that call during that brief quantum window when it creates the maximum benefit and impact. Your logic could never calculate these timing convergences. It's impossible. Logic requires pre-existing data. Intuition accesses the data before it physically exists. It reads the quantum field patterns naturally. Your relationships improve dramatically, or they fall away, and both are a blessing. Your logic evaluates relationships based on surface compatibility, shared interests, history, or practical benefits. Your intuition, however, perceives energetic alignment. It cuts through the words and the masks. It shows you who truly resonates with your frequency, who is there to support your genuine evolution, and who you are meant to lovingly release. Problems resolve faster and in more creative, unexpected ways. Logic is limited. It is finite. It can only use known solutions and conventional approaches from the past. Intuition, however, is infinite. It can access creative, out-of-the-box solutions directly from the quantum field where all possibilities exist. It will show you an unconventional approach that works perfectly, an unexpected resource that changes everything. Stress and anxiety decrease massively, almost to zero. Why? Because you are no longer carrying the impossible, arrogant burden of trying to figure everything out with your limited logical mind. You learn to trust the knowing. You relax into following the guidance one step at a time, rather than agonizing over whether you're making the right choices for the next 10 years. The mental pressure of constant analytical thinking dissolves when you recognize that your higher consciousness already knows the optimal path and is showing it to you moment by moment. moment through your intuition. Perhaps most significantly, you develop an unshakable, profound inner authority. You are no longer dependent on external validation, on experts, on gurus, on what everyone else is doing. You have direct access to your own knowing. You consult your intuition first, and then you consider external input as secondary data. You stop seeking external permission to trust what you already know. This is not arrogance. This is sovereignty. This is alignment. Now we come to the final revelation, the one that shifts this from a practice you are doing to a state of being that you are. This is the integration. This is what makes the shift permanent, irreversible, and total. Quantum intuition is not something you have. It is not a skill you are learning to develop. It is not a gift that some people have and others don't. This is the ultimate truth. Quantum intuition is what you are. You are not a limited physical person who receives intuitive guidance from some separate, distant, external source called the universe or your higher self. You are that consciousness. You are that higher self. You are a fractal of the universe. And intuition is simply that vast consciousness knowing itself directly without the clumsy, slow intermediary of thought, sensing, or reasoning. When you follow your intuition, you are not following external guidance that you must blindly trust. You are following yourself. You are following the most expanded, all-knowing, timeless part of you that operates at a frequency where all outcomes, all timelines, and all connections are visible before they ever manifest in the physical. This means the distinction you've been wrestling with, the battle between intuition and logic, isn't a battle between two different sources of guidance at all. It is the difference between consciousness knowing itself directly, which you experience as intuition, and consciousness pretending it doesn't know and trying to figure itself out through a slow, linear, sequential, analytical process, which you experience as logic. Both are consciousness, but one is consciousness recognizing what it already knows, while the other is consciousness getting lost in the weeds of its own mental creation. A game it created for itself. When you truly recognize in your cells that you are your intuition rather than just having it, the entire struggle to trust it dissolves. Following it becomes effortless. It becomes as natural as breathing. You are no longer trying to trust some external, invisible, mystical force. You are simply trusting yourself. You are trusting your own deepest core knowing. You are trusting your own consciousness, which has immediate, total access to all quantum information because it is quantum consciousness. The doubt that constantly asks, "But should I trust this? Is this real?" dissolves when you recognize the profound, simple truth. I am this knowing. Every intuitive impulse, every flash of insight, every gut feeling is your expanded consciousness showing your limited physical awareness what you already know but haven't accessed yet. The guidance isn't coming from outside. It's coming from deeper, higher, faster dimensions of yourself. There is no separation. There is no separation between you and the quantum field. There is no separation between your consciousness and universal consciousness. There is no separation between your knowing and the ultimate knowing. What you call intuition is simply the unified field recognizing itself through you. Live as consciousness knowing itself rather than as a person trapped in a mind trying to figure things out. When a decision arises, do not ask your logic, "What should I do?" Drop into your consciousness, into the silent field of awareness itself, and recognize, "What do I already know?" The knowing is always there. It is present before the analysis. It is available before the reasoning. It is clear before the thinking. You do not need to develop intuition. You just need to stop obscuring it with the loud, persistent, arrogant noise of excessive thinking. When this stabilizes, when you stop visiting this state of intuitive flow and you begin to live there, something paradoxical and beautiful occurs. You are simultaneously following the intuition and being the intuition you are following. You are receiving the guidance and being the source of the guidance. You are trusting the knowing and being the consciousness that knows. This is the end of the seeker and the search. Following your intuition is, quite simply, how consciousness lives coherently with itself. Ignoring your intuition, overriding it with logic, is how consciousness creates internal division, friction, resistance, and suffering. The flow, the path of least resistance, the life of synchronicity and ease is always available through your intuition. The resistance, the struggle, the hard path is always created by your logic overriding that intuition. But your choice, your personal commitment to follow this guidance, serves something far larger than just your own personal navigation. It serves the collective consciousness. Every time you, as an individual, follow your intuition and it leads to a successful, aligned outcome, you are proving to the collective energy field that this quantum guidance is real, reliable, and trustworthy. You are strengthening the morphic resonance, the energetic grid that makes intuitive living more acceptable, more accessible, and more possible for everyone. You are quite literally holding a new frequency on the planet. As more individuals like you awaken from the logic-only dream and begin to follow their intuition consistently, the entire collective consciousness of humanity begins to shift. It shifts, vibration by vibration, from being logic-dominated to being intuition-informed. It moves from an analytical-only paradigm, which has created much of the separation and destruction on our planet, to a balanced, integrated, holistic state of knowing and thinking. Your individual private choice to trust your inner knowing directly contributes to the collective permission for all of humankind to access this quantum knowing. You are not just navigating your personal life. By living this way, you are demonstrating a new, possible way of navigating reality for the entire collective. Your demonstration, your living example of an intuition-led life, is infinitely more powerful than any words, arguments, or explanations you could ever offer. Right now, that intuition you are receiving, that persistent, quiet guidance about an action you need to take, a choice you need to make, a person you need to contact, a truth you need to speak, that is real. That is your quantum guidance system, and it is worth following. Not someday, when you feel more certain, not later when you've gathered more evidence, not after your logical mind has finally approved it. Now, this is the moment to act on the knowing you have been receiving. Trust the knowing over the thinking. Follow consciousness guiding itself. You are quantum intuition. You are consciousness knowing itself. You are the guidance. Follow accordingly. Everything changes when you do. If you're ready to expand your consciousness, reclaim your inner authority, and step into your next quantum leap, subscribe now to Quantum Reflection. Leave a comment below with your own experience of intuition and share this message with someone who is ready to awaken.